Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us. Today is October the 17th, 2013. This is Personal Empowerment for Your Soul, and I'm Jean Moy, and my co-creator is Maggie Lukowski. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Jean.
How are you?
I'm most excellent. I hope everybody is doing well.
And we're so excited and honored to have Erik Medhus and Jamie Butler with us. Erik took his life on October 6, 2009, and his mother, Dr. Elisa Medhus, began a search for answers that she hoped would bring her and others comfort and hope. She contacted Jamie Butler, who has always been able to see energy fields around people and inanimate objects. She also sees and hears spirits. In the summer of 2010, Elisa contacted Jamie by phone, and the spirit of Erik, her son, appeared to Jamie and described his suicide, which was painful for both Jamie and Elisa to hear. This was the beginning of their incredible journey together that you can read in her book and on the blog Channeling Erik. Welcome, Jamie and Erik. We're so happy to have you with us today.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Jean. Hello to everyone. And Erik gives a huge shout-out to his mom, first off. He's like, I love you, Mom. And hello to everyone listening. He said he's ready to jack this up.
Did I pronounce his name right? Did I pronounce their name right?
He said, yeah, it was good enough. He's laughing.
Oh, Maggie, you had some questions you wanted to ask.
Oh, I guess we'll start about your friendship, Jamie and Erik. Is it kind of like just what we have here on the earth plane, the friendship that you've developed through the years?
Wow, that is a really great question. Thanks for asking. And Erik and I I would describe it as Jamie as being more like brother-sister. And there have been many moments where he had been an absolute mentor. And it is like having a relationship on earth. I mean, for me at least, I get to see him. I see his reactions. I hear his words. I can't reach out and touch him and grab hold of him. And Erik's interrupting me, of course. That's what he normally does. And he said, for him, he likes it more because he gets to interrupt me, come into a room when I don't want him to come into a room. Oh, yes, like he likes to come into the bathroom with me and, like, talk to me because he says that's my private time. Oh, goodness. And for him, he's very much a prankster. He was saying before the phone call to Jean and Maggie, he says, I came in earlier today and I touched a bunch of shit, so later on you're going to figure out what it is.
I love that.
Oh, my gosh.
We have something to look forward to.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
You do. You'll have to share with us later what happened.
Now, is this in our house or in the studio?
No, he says, you're not in the studio today. Well, he said, I came to your house. I came to your house.
Now, I've got goosebumps all over me.
Hey, that's actually a huge sign of Erik. That's what he does with his mother quite frequently to let him know that he's there, let her know that he's there.
You know, I read that and I forgot it until I got the goosebumps myself.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Were there any relatives or guides to meet you, Erik, when you crossed over?
He said, yeah. He said, actually, kind of right after I left my body, I was a little, just in a quiet place. It was dark a little bit. So it's not like some big freaking light showed up and I walked into it and angels played harps and shit like that. He said, I really took my time, calmed down. It was a really nice dark space. I saw my sister. I saw my aunt, my mom's sister. I saw grandparents. And then I just saw a bunch of people that I didn't know, but I knew them. And he's like, that's a messed up feeling because you have this sense of love and knowing for them, but yet you can't recognize their face, but you want to trust yourself. he was like, that was probably one of the first kind of messed up sensations I felt when I arrived, is that everything is full-on, unconditional, compassionate love, and we only get a drop of that shit on Earth. He goes, but when you cross over, man, it's everywhere. It's in everything. It's in you, and you can't avoid it. It's amazing.
That
He's
almost
laughing.
brings tears to my eyes.
He's laughing. He goes, ladies, I don't mean to spell death or anything like that, but when it's your turn to get here, you're going to love it.
Actually, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not going to hurry it. I mean, you know what I mean.
Me too,
yes.
I feel there's a comfort in the transition time. But I'm not in a rush. I think we still have things to do.
Yeah, the way I
Agreed.
look at it, when it's my time, I'll know.
He says that's true, and plus, he says, I agree with staying on Earth. He goes, man, you jumped off the platform to get here. You need to figure out why you decided to do that. He goes, you just got to stay awake in your life. So many of us, us people, fall asleep when we're in our bodies. And then by the time we die, we wake up and we're like, oh, shit, I really wanted to do this and that. And so they come back and they try it again. You just stay awake, man.
I can appreciate that. I know all through my life I've been waking up, so I know what he's talking about. Don't you, Maggie?
Yes, and I wondered, Erik, do you notice from where you're at now that people are awaking more, or than maybe what you saw when you were here?
Mm-hmm. So much more. He's like, hell yes. I can go to people, let's just say average Jane or Joe, who knows that there's an afterlife, but they really don't have the proof of it for themselves. And now they're becoming more sensitive to guides, spirits, dead people, whatever the hell you want to call them. They're becoming more sensitive just naturally, innately. It's like a spiritual evolution, enlightenment evolution. So, yes, people are waking up more.
I got a silly question. Can you
I love
appear
it.
in my office right now?
He said yes, and he goes, what do you want me to wear?
I mean, can I really see him?
He says, Gene, you've seen spirits before. This is nothing new. He said, I think what makes me different is that I'm just a little more gritty. I'm a little more earthy still. And he says, I like that because I like the way that my mom reaches out and helps people, and I want to be a part of that. I want to talk to people very plain about what this world is like beyond the one you're living, because it's going to be your reality. Trust me, man. I don't care if you completely don't believe or if you really do. It's going to be your reality. So I think that's maybe why a little bit of my passion of teaching and nitty-gritty, earthy, makes it easier for me to interfere with people, prank them, have you seen me, things of that nature. Gene, he said he's pushing on you. He's pushing on you.
Okay. Thank you. Maggie,
I was
you
going
can
to ask
something?
Yeah, I was going to ask Erik, are you working with some people? Do you have a soul group or some guides or mentors that you're working on some things now?
He said for myself?
Yeah, for yourself.
Like a gang. He calls it a gang. I got a gang, and yes, they help me understand how to, I guess if you're on Earth, you would call it how to be a better person. You know, how to participate without stepping on your own feet. And he said, I kind of want to talk about it in terms where the everyday listener to the show is just going to be able to understand what I'm saying and not talk over people's heads. But, yeah, I do have a mentor. I do have a teacher. And he says, what's interesting, Maggie, and he goes, you do this shit too when you do your readings. And he goes, you don't know the information, but then when you start opening up to the idea of it, you comprehend it. And nobody's sitting there going, all right, Maggie, this is the way it is. Step 1, 2, 3. He says, you just kind of know it. And he said, so that's the way it is here. If I want to know how to build a house, and I've never built a house before, I sit down and I think about it and I open up to it, and the information comes to me. And if it's shit that I really don't comprehend, building a spaceship, right, that's still sci-fi to us on Earth, so we don't really have a history on that. We don't have pictures of it. We don't have a how-to. Then some guide, mentor, spirit is going to show me where to access that knowledge, let's say in the archives. So they direct me there, and I open up to the information, and it's mine. So I don't hold on to it all at once. You know, you don't just die and become all-knowing and shit like that. That's fucked up. I'm so sorry about the language, guys. It's so hard to say it when it's on the radio. You guys are the first radio show that's allowed Erik to just really cuss. So, that's the language. So back to Erik.
Oh, that's...
It's not bothering us. It's our,
okay.
You know, we warned everybody. And
Good,
if they don't
right.
like it, that's their problem.
So Erik is interrupting again. He goes, I just want to let you know that it's the same as Earth. You know, all the information is available to you. But the way that Earth people believe in it is that you have to study it in a book and remember, you know, memorize that shit for you to be able to know it. And it's not true. You can actually tap into inner knowledge, into the archives, and know the information. Really, when you're on Earth, it's all about remembering. And it's the same in spirit, too. It's just about remembering. You don't just keep everything, you know, in the front of your forehead and access it all the time. You store it somewhere else, and then when you need it, you remember it. Back to you, Maggie.
That's like storing things in the cloud.
Yes, that's brilliant. Yes.
That's interesting, Erik, that you put it that way, because my mother, before she passed on, she'd always say, I'd ask her a question, and she'd say, I'm running out of space. I didn't store that because that's something I can look up. So I get that correlation. You don't have to have it all at once.
He said, that kicks ass. That's a great example.
Can he give us, Erik, can you give us any hints or ways to meditate so that we can get in touch with the archives and the information? Is there one kind of meditation, or are there many?
He says, Jean, there's going to be many, because what meditation does, it calms the mind down so that the heart could be the biggest source of information. And we're emotional beings in our body. We're not logical beings. So meditation is all about, you know, shutting up the mind. And he's pretending to pet his head, and he's saying, shh, shh. His hair's a little messy today. Then he says, we have to get to our heart. And for every individual on the earth, there's a different way of getting to the heart. So just saying that there's one kind of meditation to access the archives, it ain't going to work. You got to figure out what is that meditation that's going to work for you. And he says, you know, the best way that I figured out is figure out how you learn. You know, do you learn more from looking at it, from hearing about it, from participating in it, you know, visual, audio, or kinetic? And he goes, once you figure that out, adapt that learning style into your meditation. You know, so if you're audio, why don't you make a little audio tape for yourself that you get to listen to, and it guides you into the meditation.
Ooh.
Most all humans, especially Americans, man, we like to know what the fuck is going on. Mystery suck. People wig out when they don't know what's happening. So design your meditation and what it should look like. You know, you're going to get in a car and drive down into the ground, or you're going to ride an escalator up, or you're going to stand there and the room changes. Like, design your meditation and to design how you're going to reach the archives. And then once you open the door or access the archives, let that experience be new. But the process of getting there, let it already be known to you how to do it. Because then, if you're in somewhat of control, at least of the how-to until you arrive, you're going to find a deeper meditation. And he goes, that's the shit that I would do to access the knowing stuff. But once you get there, you got to be cool with yourself. You just got to stay wide open and get rid of expectation, and that's kind of hard for people to do.
That's so true. We have someone in the chat room is asking Erik, Erik, how many earth angels are here? I don't know if they mean right now, today, here, or just in general with the question.
Dewey, he says, we could take that several different ways. Earth angels, angels that have incarnated into a human body, who have grounded themselves to the earth to help. And he says, man, we're looking in the millions. You think it's sparse and far in between, but it's not. We've been growing in enlightenment for a hell of a long time. So all of this that you're asking for and trying to access is really readily available, but our mind is just shutting it down. Or you could say an earth angel is like a guardian angel or a guide angel that stays in spirit but next to the human body. He said, I'd say like 1 in 4 people have those. Everyone has a guardian angel. They're not with you 24/7, but they access to you. They help you. We like to think that there's some kind of hierarchy system, and Jean, you are allotted 4 guides, 2 mentors, 1 angel. He's laughing so hard right now. And then this is your gang, this is your team that you get, because it's really not like that. It's so flexible. You might not need anyone at a certain moment in your life because you're centered, you're grounded, you know yourself. Because that's really where you want to be. But as soon as you're off or confused or just in a funk, then we're going to help you. We're going to want to be there. It's not a sacrifice for us to help you guys. It feels good, man. We gotta help those human beings. He's laughing. So he said, just tell her a lot. A lot.
Oh, I like that. Does Erik do readings for people?
He said, I have hopped into readings before, yeah. Yeah, he goes,
okay.
I love to stay close to my bloggies and the people who read and listen. And, if they're getting a reading with someone, I love interrupting and being in it and telling them my peace of mind. Ooh, he really does do that. He's shown up in my sessions. He's shown up in other people's sessions. He's very loud.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. And Erik,
he said, you asked for it, Maggie. You asked for it right there. You just asked for it. He goes, wait until you do some sessions.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Erik, I love your energy. You are so much fun. We have 5 children, so I love your energy. And I want to ask, where you are now, your physicality. You don't have the same, you don't have the body that you had here. So is there any kind of physicality or physical description you describe about yourself, or is there none?
He said, so my true energetic self, my soul, he says that looks like a light source that shine, like I can shine out. He says, I love saying that. And he says it's kind of like a golden with a bright blue. But he says, whenever I'm talking to people, I don't think it's fair to pull that shit out that they're not used to. They'll just think that something's in their eye and scratch their eye and look again. But if I show up like myself in my baseball cap, my T-shirt, and my jeans, then they're going to see me as being a person and as someone that they might want to communicate to or say hey to. So I like to show up how I was when I'm on Earth. He says, that's what I'll do for you, Jean.
Thank you. I can see you in my mind's eye, in my mind right now, but it might be because I've seen your picture. So I don't know. I'm an open-minded skeptic. How's that?
He said, I love that. I'd love to help you change that definition if you want to.
I'm ready.
Sweet.
I have a question. When you manipulate energy, Is that how Patrick Swayze did it in the movie Ghost?
He said, no, you didn't. He said, you're such a woman. He says, let's take the penny. You remember the scene? Oh, yeah, there was the scene.
Right.
With the penny. Okay. He says, yeah, let's take that scene where the penny is flipped up, and then pushed up a wall. Now, yes, we can do that shit. And we do that shit all the time. And what it requires is for us to really lower our vibrations very, very, very low in our dimensional world, which is like you're high in your dimensional world, all right? And then what we do is we direct it. It's not like when you make contact with, I don't know, whatever you're touching. When you place your hand down, there's no resistance, right? There's no pushback when we're in energetic bodies. So you constantly have to push against it. And that's why most of the times you'll end up seeing the stuff that we move in jerks, unless we're throwing it across the room or dropping it down the staircase, because then gravity's helping us out. But if you see us move something, it's either extremely quick, and if it's going slow, it's in jerky motions because of that.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to listen to this show again.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard him explain that. That was really neat.
Yeah, I'm blown away, okay?
He says, cool, let's keep blowing.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Maggie, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, Erik, would you, and I guess I couldn't say for myself because I'm not there, but I could imagine, but would you have done things differently? And I guess maybe we all would have, but is there something specific that you would have liked to have done, an experience that you would have liked to have had that maybe you didn't have? And if you didn't have it on Earth, can you recreate that experience where you're at? Since we're all, since there's that vibration and we're all energy.
He said, you're a smart woman. If I had a second choice, and I was told that I could live it again, do it again, I seriously think that I did my best under the circumstances. I would like to have another life. I wouldn't like to change the one that I just had. It was hard, and it was a struggle with my bipolarism, is what he said. And he's explaining again that it was very difficult for me, and that was the leading cause that I was so disconnected to my body and wanted to leave. But, you're asking me if I have a regret. Not really, not in this lifetime. I did give it my all. It wasn't working. But if I had a new life to create, I guess I would discover more of the depth of relationships that humans can have. They're fragile and they're strong all at the same time. And I'm learning that through my new relationship with my mom and my dad, my family, while I'm here and they're there. That has taught me quite a bit. But you're right, if I felt like I missed something on Earth, I can always complete that over here where I am. But it's kind of funny, though, like the things that you want to do on Earth and achieve and connect to, when you get into this dimensional world, you don't really have the same desires or needs. So they kind of fall flat a little bit, and you definitely end up with new ones, I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Tell Erik to stop making me cry. I just want to give him a hug.
He said, you wanted to sign. Jean, you wanted to sign. I'm pushing on you.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, I didn't expect that.
Oh.
He says, good, that's just a little bit more of an encouragement to the mind to say, holy shit, there's a hell of a lot more than I can perceive with my five senses in my sixth sense.
Well, tell him I'm having a holy shit moment myself.
He said, buckle your seatbelt and hang on, Jeannie. I'm going to bring some more. Jeannie. Goodness.
Jean, you're in for a ride. I love that.
He
Erik
said, hell yes.
Yeah, Erik, I love the way you put things, and I love your spirit, the way you talk about things. It gives people a different perspective, because I think we all wonder, well, what is it going to be like? But I think, Erik, when you described it by, what we look forward to, maybe achievement or whatever it is here, there's different things there. So I think that's the exciting part, is there's something totally different on the other side to experience.
Aw, he's like, you made him smile like a little boy, very wide smile. He said, yeah, that's the reason, that's the cause. He goes, but I want to see people understand that while they're alive, while they are playing human, that they have this soul inside of them that's just based on emotional values. They're kind of all like glued together. Not really like a puzzle where they fit perfect, but they're all just like smushed in onto itself. And these emotional values is what enhances all of our interactions, all of our definitions of love that we need to be learning when we're in this life. It's going to be a really sweet day when the majority of the world wakes up and understands the definition of unity. And after that happens, it's going to catch on like wildfire, and everybody's going to understand it, and we are all going to reach a place where we can help each other.
Is that going to be in our lifetime? Excuse me.
He says, it doesn't have to wait. And he goes, I'm sorry, I really wish it was. He says, but it's going to take. He's pausing. He goes, I want to explain first that science and spirituality are going to get together before the concept of unity does. So we got a lot more teaching to go to the masses. And when science signs on board, well, people are going to be like, what the fuck? And then they're going to start paying attention. They're going to want to read some shit and have some experiences. And then they're going to understand that everything is made of energy. Everything has energy. We are all the same source. We are all the same. We just use it different. That's when it's going to start catching on like wildfire. It's a few decades out.
Well, Erik, I like what you said, that because that's always the way I felt, no matter in counseling people or my own life, is that we're always doing the best that we know how at that particular moment. So about judging or forgiveness, it's like everybody's doing the best they can, no matter what you look at somebody or what you've done. At that particular time, you were doing the best you had with what you knew how. And I think that's really important for people to hear, to be easier on themselves and other people, and to understand that. And I found that interesting that, he talked about that.
Yeah, you've got the winning ticket, Maggie. That's what it is. Human people, are focused on, the right and the wrong, and they use judgment to understand what is right and wrong. And, opinion is fine. Fine. Have your own perspective of whatever's happening. It's coming through your body, your brain, your experiences. That's your tool. But when you start placing judgment and saying it's right or it's wrong, guess what? You have no fucking right to do that. We're not made to do that, really. Someone just taught us that because they wanted us as a mass to straighten up, get in line, and obey one leader. When really we should be obeying our own intuitive guidance, our inner compass, and our connection to all that is. Prime source, God, Buddha, Krishna, whoever you want to call. He, she, Mother Earth. It's all the same. It's the prime source. That's going to happen. That's part of the enlightenment that I was talking about, and that nasty-ass word judgment is going to start going away. Because you're right, Maggie. whatever we're doing, however we're reacting, if you want to call it small-minded or open-minded, it's the best that we need to do, best we could have done in that moment. And as long as you can stay on the now, love that Eckhart Tolle, man. He fucking talks about now all the time. And it's not a new message. It's so. We're just going to vomit it and regurgitate it all the time and make it look new. But you got to stay in the now. And those kids that are coming in, oh, man. My mom's going to be so happy she had kids like 2 decades ago and she's not having them now, because the ones that are coming in now are way more stronger than we ever were. But they understand now. Stay in the moment.
Are they called the crystal children?
Yeah, some of them. I mean, it's a great label. If we're using the labels, there's still some indigo kids coming in. They're the ones who like to tear down the rules and remake them. Crystal kids like to open up and heal and bring everything together in unity. And there's rainbows. There's all kinds of different looking energetic patterns that are coming in, but they're all coming in knowing that this time, this judgment shit that we put on ourselves isn't necessary. And you know what's going to have to fucking change now is our freaking educational system, because it's not catching up as quick as the kids are.
What about people from other planets? Are they here too to help?
He's laughing. I love it. He'll do the ha. Yeah, they're not all helping, but they're here.
What do you mean by not helping?
Well, let's just say the majority, Jean, so I don't scare you. Let's say like 80% of the, I like to call them interdimensional beings. Really, that's what dead people are too. We're interdimensional beings.
True.
He says, 80% of aliens, interdimensional beings are here helping us, protecting our growth. But, that shit's going to come to an end. It doesn't mean that we're going into war. Oh, my God. Listeners, calm down. There's none of that. None of that. Erik says, Jeannie, your mind is turning like a hamster in a wheel. What's going on?
You know me too well already, right? And I just met you. Can you talk about why some people have more fear in their life than other people, and why sometimes it's so hard to let go, even though they know better?
That's a great question. He was like, well, there's fear and phobias. So let's just kind of squish them together and just call it fear. And fear comes when, I like to talk about that humans are emotional beings. That's really where we're seated the most, is in the heart and the emotions. But, our culture teaches us to be thinkers, problem solvers, with our head. But we honestly have 4 roommates that live in one tiny-ass room, your body. We have the head, we have the emotion person, we have the physical person, and we have the spirit, the soul. So these 4 roommates are all living inside this body. Then they all have different vibrational, energetic qualities. If they're unrooted, meaning they can't connect to the next friend, the next roommate, it can create a fear because it's lack of communication. So if your head can't connect to your heart on a certain topic, it's not firing well. Erik, what do you mean, firing well? He just shows me an image of energy being translated from thought to seed in the heart emotionally. And he says if this can't happen, then there's too much of a mystery and the brain can't find an answer and it creates fear. And he said, well, what's amazing is fear can be taught. It can be taught to you by a parent, by a teacher, by something that you saw or heard, or your imagination. He says all these things can create. And what happens is when you're in fear, you're looking at future possibilities. Like, this might happen. Oh, my God, what if he crosses the street and he has a fucking bat? What am I going to do? And being afraid. They said, if you learn and discipline your mind to stay in the now, then you're not going to have that surge of fear in your soul, body, and emotions, and even in your mind. They said people often like to say, well, man, I got to prepare. I got to plan. What if something really bad goes on? I got to be ready. Well, that's fine, man. Fucking prepare all you want, but don't stay in the future. Prepare for all the possibilities and then come back to the now. And then when future arrives to the now, you can use one of these possibilities that you prepared for so that you can stay very present. But if you're present, you won't be afraid. I swear to God, I promise you. So if you're sitting in your house and you're afraid about leaving or afraid about ending this relationship that you've been connected to for 10 years because where will you be without it, these are all just falsities. How will you know where you will be without it if you haven't even left it? You know, sometimes you just got to put one foot in front of the other. And if you can't, I always tell people to reach out to someone who can help them ground. Get a therapist, get a life coach, get a best friend, get a mom. Get someone who's very open, who can talk to you about your mind, your heart, your body, your soul, and what your needs are so you can get everybody talking. All 4 roommates need to talk, and you got to stay in the now, and that will eat the fear right up out of you.
Oh, that's fascinating. Thank you.
He said, you're welcome.
Now, can you build a house there?
If you want to. If you want to build it with your hands, I mean, it kind of looks funny, but we'll sit around and watch you do it. But you can just imagine it, you know, creation. Creation of energy comes from thought and imagination, and you can build it. And the cool thing is when you don't need it, it doesn't exist. But when you think of it again, it exists. It's a great recycling program, really.
I like that.
Oh, so if you build a house, you can live in it and decorate it any way you want?
Sure. A lot of spirits do that, and then you'll find that you don't really need it, and you grow out of it, and you won't have a home for a little while. You know, it's not like Earth where you need like a cubby to keep yourself in. You know, you don't really have a body to need to do that. And also, you got to think about it, when you're in a human form, you got to have downtime. You got to sleep. You got to hunker. Hunker? I don't think I've ever heard him say that. Hunker down. But when you're in spirit, you don't need to go to sleep. You don't really need to rest. You are just pure life force energy, and you're always in the now. So you don't need some of these things that we feel we need when we're living. That's why when some people come back and they have memories of the afterlife, of where they came from, I'm not talking about past life or future life memories. I'm talking about like heaven, home, the afterlife. And then they're on Earth and they're just like, fuck it, man, I don't want to live in a house. I want to be a nomad. I don't want these things. I don't want this material. I just want one pair of shoes and a shirt. And and he says hopefully they also take a pair of pants. But they want to narrow it down because they remember when they were in spirit, they didn't need all these things. All of a sudden it becomes overwhelming, too much responsibility, too much to be attached to. And when you come across those people, I bet 99% of the time it's because they have conscious memory of what heaven, home, and the afterlife was like. And they can't duplicate that on Earth. So they're a little bit disconnected, lost, because they can't really fit into the system that we've created on Earth. Because I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but there you go.
Erik, is time not linear, but is it like all, you know, is it happening in the now, everything, past, future, present, or is there a linear type of time, or can you describe kind of the time concept from your perspective?
Yeah. Love that. She says that every time, oh goodness, she goes, every time I try to talk to Jamie about it, She shuts me down because she says that it's too confusing and she just wants to be human. I do say that to him, actually. He said, so I'm going to do it one more time. He said, all right, you guys believe that time is linear, right? Everyone who's listening, you said, okay, the show's going to come on at this time. I know to be ready at this time. And you know you have to wait for that time to arrive. That's a linear concept. And where I am, time is not structured that way. He says, I wish I could do a show and tell for you. But if we take that one line, point A to point B, like if you had a piece of paper and you went from one side of the paper to the other, very two-dimensional. And also, what if, the way my time is, what if you took that paper and you made a cylinder out of it? You took those edges and you made them touch. So now that line goes in a circle. But if you're walking the line, it still looks like a fucking line, right? You may not know you're walking in a circle, but it's still a line. Now, I'm going to do one more thing to the circle. Unattach it, make one twist in it, and then attach it back. So now what this lets you do is before you were walking the line, then you were walking a circle, and now with that twist, you are walking the outside of the circle, and then you're coming onto the inside of the circle. And you're walking along the inside of the circle, and then now you're walking on the outside of the circle. Right? So you have front and back side of the line, and it's always ongoing. It doesn't stop. So no matter where you are in this line, it's always going to loop and fold back in on itself. Okay, so this is like a quantum kind of string theory shit that I'm trying to throw at you in a very plain way. This is what Jamie, oh gosh, Erik, this is what Jamie doesn't like. It's kind of true. It throws me off quite a bit. He said, so I try to explain it to her this way. Imagine if you had that one line that we first drew on the table and we stood it on end. That's like let's take a stack of books, 10 books, and we put all the books on top of each other. Let's say you, Maggie, had 10 lives. And here are your 10 lives. They're all stacked on top of each other. They're all happening at once. And every chapter is like a month or a year in your life, and every page is a day. What you are doing, Maggie, is you only have the strength in these lower dimensional world to pay attention to one moment at a time. So you have snapshots. And in these snapshots, you feel like it's very linear, but it's not, because you actually have the capability of calming down, meditating, raising your vibrational quality, and tapping into these other books that you're living simultaneously. Even though you're Maggie now, and you're somewhere else 9 other times, you're still whole. You're not 1/9 of yourself. You're 100% of yourself in every single life. It makes no sense to say you're a piece of. You are a whole, a smaller whole of the whole. Because I swear to God, that's the way it works. We are all small wholes of a whole. There's no pieces of. Because we're all connected. We haven't really broken apart. Energetically, we have these cords that connect us all. So time is not linear. It's stacked upon itself. It folds in upon itself. It twists upon itself. So there's really no such thing as past life, future life, nor really reincarnation, because re suggests that you've done it before and you're about to do it again, and that suggests that time is linear. But this is the only fucking language you have, this English shit. So this is what we have to use. And so now we have a language that doesn't fit our understanding of what our environment is, and hopefully science will come in and just kind of jack the language up and give us something new to say. Because that's what we're waiting on now, right? But you're human. You chose to be human. So sign up for it. Like Jamie says, sign up for it. She tells me to leave her alone a lot. Let her just be herself. She's like, that's why I came. Erik, you can leave me out of this now.
Thank you, Erik. I like that explanation.
He said, I hope that helps.
It's way over
It
my
does
head.
a lot.
He said, what was that, Jeannie?
It's way over my head.
He says, good thing you're sitting down then. Because when you stand up, it won't be over your head.
That sounds like something my stepfather would have said. Oh, that's funny.
Erik, do you have a message for people today, for this day, or for this week, or maybe for this season? I don't know what your favorite season was or is, but do you have anything to say about? Because we're in in this hemisphere, we're in the autumn, the fall season.
When you said seasons, he said race season. I just thought it was interesting. He didn't think about the 4 seasons. He thought about motorcycle racing, and car racing.
Okay.
He says, no, I like it when it gets cool like this, coming into fall, because then when you're on your bike, you don't sweat a lot in your gear. And he says, Earth just looks a little bit happier, like it's resting a little bit more in autumn. But if I had a message to give to everyone, I get a lot of questions on how can I help, and then when people get the concept of healing each other, and that you don't have to be in the same room with them, like that prayer heals, words heal, all this stuff, then they start thinking, well, I've got to name off every single individual and send them healing, and that just takes too much fucking time. So you'll get burnt out on it. Who's going to take the time to do that? We got big families, So I like to tell people once a day, every day, let's say at noon, whenever noon is your time, that you send love to the core of the earth, right to the core. And what Mother Earth is doing is she takes that energy and she shines it back out. And it's going to touch every plant, every animal, insect. It touches every foot, every person on the planet. It touches the sky, the air, the clouds, the airplanes, the people sitting in the airplanes, the birds, the atmosphere, everything. So if you can focus on one thing, focus on the core of the earth, sending it pure love, light, thought, and having it just boom out onto everything and everyone. And that's unconditional love, because you're treating every living force and inanimate object on earth the same way, with just your pure, simple love.
Oh, that's thank you, Erik. That's a beautiful message, and that's a lot of times we have morning rituals or evening rituals, but then that gives us a kind of a midday stopping point and something to do, and that also lifts our vibration too as we lift everybody else's up.
It does, because the love that you're giving back to the earth is going to touch your feet as well.
Oh, now I'm getting tinglings with that. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is awesome.
There's many kinds of healings, though, aren't there? Besides, like Reiki and acupuncture and herbs, and I feel like I'm asking a dumb question. Go ahead.
She said, so what's the question? Like, what's a great healing aspect?
I guess I don't. I mean, there's many kinds. I don't know how to ask this question.
He says, let's work through it together. He says, do you want to understand what works best for each individual person?
Doesn't each individual person have different needs?
Bingo. They do. And he goes, and Jeannie, how do you know that you're doing something that resonates for the best for you? How do you know it?
Feeling I get.
Yeah. Yes. He said, so I like to think as, we used to call them alternative healing modalities. I think from here on out they have to be called complementary. They're not alternative anymore. They're complementary. They work with the medical field. And, my mom's a doctor. She assessed everything from the knowledge that she knew from the books or her practice hands-on, I totally respect the medical field. And I feel like it's still extremely valuable for us to have the medical field, but it's also extremely valuable for us to know how to take care of ourselves. And I think everybody in their first aid kit should know what the hell Reiki is. Like, it should almost be mandatory, man.
Really?
The first instinct, yeah. Like, when you scratch yourself, man, you put your hands over it. You take a deep breath. You're like, oh, it hurts. Or you want your mommy to kiss it. Because that's what Reiki is. Energetic connection, positive, negative, moving the energy through and healing the body. I think people should learn it. Nurses are learning it now. And then all the other complementary medicines, they should be used in conjunction with each other. We really need to open up centers that say we got a medical doctor, we have our chiropractor, we have our massage therapist, we have our acupuncturist, and it just goes on down the line, our energy healer. And when they come in, they see the medical doctor, but it doesn't make the medical doctor the end-all, be-all, but the medical doctor talks to the patient and creates this healing modality of, let's talk to your complementary therapist and let's give you all of this to make you better. Because that's seriously what you need, because the medical doctor treats symptoms and then tries to find the cause and is working on the body. But you know what? Most of the time, if you need a medical doctor, you fucked up somewhere energetically. And you either did it mentally or emotionally. So you need those therapists to straighten that shit out first to find out why the fuck are you broken in the first place. Medical doctors don't always look at that.
They don't have time.
What's that?
I said they don't have time with the medical system we have. They can only give us, 5-15 minutes?
He said,
Not
that's
even,
true.
Yeah.
And then send your ass a bill for $800.
Yep. Or load us up on pills that give lots of different reactions. Don't get me started.
This is a bad sight. He said, me too. He said, we so have that in common.
Oh, I wish you'd talk to me every day.
He goes, may your wish be granted, Jeannie.
You have a wonderful sense of humor, Erik.
He said, some people love it, some people don't. But he said, thanks.
Well, I think we all need to smile more. And I can see you smile.
Mm-hmm. It would make us happier people, wouldn't it, Maggie?
Yes, most definitely.
I'm just so curious. I want to know it all. So forgive me.
He said, oh, man, I thought a question was coming after that one because you want to know it all.
Yeah, I just got one. Is there a difference between angels and guides? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, guides are spirits that can incarnate into the human body. Angels are pure light energy. They don't tend to incarnate into any physical body. So they're closer to prime source, God source, whatever you want to call it, Christ light. Same thing. And, goodness. And angels, more of the guardian angels, it doesn't make them better than or less than. There's kind of fewer of them. Let's just put it that way. And with guides, they're kind of like the renegades. Like, Jeannie, when you die, you might decide to be a guide. You know, you might stay put in the afterlife for a little while, help some people on Earth and in other dimensions. I mean, it's a shitload of fun.
That sounds like fun.
So, Erik, that's kind of what you're doing, is helping out, being a guide to people. Part of your thing.
Yeah, that's part of my new work, and I love it. I wouldn't give it up for anything.
And you don't call yourself an angel?
He's laughing.
Now it's my turn to be funny.
He's like, hell no. No. He goes, I've been in many, many lives, and I kind of like that. I like that work, exploration through experience. You know,
Yeah.
Angels don't need that shit.
Really? They're not learning either?
Yeah, they're kind of more of the all-knowing.
Oh, I thought they went to angel school.
He says, yeah, you got those token ones that claim to be angels. I think they get the, like the winged pins that you used to get in the airplanes. Remember those? Here's your wings. You know, there is like, you can call it a mentor school or being a guide school, and that's a lot of the mentoring that I've received. But, yeah. Erik kind of stops talking sometimes. It's really funny. Anyways.
Erik, do you help other people when they make their transition? Have you been there for people?
He said, I have. You know, he says my girl, but that's just a familiarity. It is not his girl. His friend, Tammy, he said she was having a hard time with the death of her father. So I told her, you know, dude, I totally got your back. I spoke to her, and it was really sweet, man. Her dad, before he passed away, gave a shout-out that that the boy with the messy hair was helping him out. And because I thought that was really nice, and it just made my friend Tammy feel so safe and calm. But yeah, you know, if it's going to help someone who really needs it, then I want to be there and I want to do it. My mom says I was that way always in life, but you know, we don't really get to know ourselves until we leave it. So enjoy who you are.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. Does everybody have to reincarnate? And if not, can they stay in one place?
Yeah, it is a choice to incarnate. That's like extreme sport. You can stay put for as long as you want, for how many times you ever want. It's free will is not just a human quality, it's also a spiritual quality.
Are there other places besides this Earth that we, like, are there other planets that people live on?
Oh, gosh, hell yeah. Because it'd be kind of boring if we just had one jump zone, right?
Yeah.
Zone. He said, yeah, we get many jump zones, other dimensions, other planets, other races. We call them aliens before, interdimensional beings. Yeah.
Are we going to find out scientifically proof that there's other life force on other planets?
Oh, man, Jeannie, we already have all that proof. Yeah, I swear to God. Like, the governments know it, everything. They just haven't made it.
Aha.
Yeah, so that's done. It's, you know, the better question is, when are the masses going to know? Because the government is afraid that if the masses know, they're going to reach out into fear rather than comfort or excitement about this new life. So that's going to be a little while. Thanks, government.
Darn, I thought it was going to happen in my lifetime. Well, we're coming to the top of the hour. Do you want to stay on or do you have to leave?
What's that, Jeannie? There's a lot of static on the end.
Yeah, I can hear that. I don't know where it's coming from.
I know, it sounds like somebody, like at a factory, making something, sliding things. It's not like classic
Yeah, I hear
static.
that. Are you sure Eric's not doing it?
He's just smiling at me. He's not saying yes or no, which probably means he has a hand in it somewhere.
Yeah, it sounds like he's playing with his toys.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what was it, Jeannie, that you were asking?
I said we've come up to the top of the hour, and I wondered if you wanted to stay on or if you had to leave.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. I do have something scheduled right after this. I get to pick up my kids, and go play.
Oh, how much fun is that? That's lovely.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, Erik has loved it.
Oh, it's
Maybe
so exciting to be able to talk to you both.
Maybe he'll come back sometime.
He said, sign me up. I'd love to do that. He says, let's get people to listen. So that's the only way that we're going to encourage people to keep changing their lives and keep having the faith and the belief that there is something bigger and better than what they're stuck in.
Well, you can come on as often as you would like. How's that?
He said, I will, and you'll know it because you'll get goosebumps. And he goes, I'm sorry if I make you cry, but if that's the sign I have to do, Jeannie, then that's what I'm going to do.
That's okay. I can handle crying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, deal. And he said, for you, Maggie, if you want some help in some of those sessions that you're doing, he goes, I'd love to come in.
Well, and I would love some help, and I'll be calling you up, Erik. I'll be kind of beaming you. I'll send you my light and love, and you can come in any time. Because you have a beautiful soul and such great messages that people need to hear.
He said, thank you so much. He goes, somewhere my mom is smiling right now.
Oh, I'm sure she is. Your mother was blessed with you, Erik.
Oh, he said, thanks for saying that. Thank you. He says, I'm giving a shout out to everyone listening. He says, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. He goes, I hope everyone has the best day that they can create for themselves.
Thank you, Erik.
We put Channeling Erik. I put channelingerik.com in the chat room, and we'll talk about your mother's book. I put that in the chat room too. It's a wonderful book.
Thank you. Yeah, he said it's called My Son in the Afterlife, and he says, and also if people like my rant, they can go to channelingerik.com, which is spelled with a K, E-R-I-K. And he says, but go straight to the archives, man, because if you just jump in, you're going to miss some of the whole storyline. It's addictive.
It's fascinating. I've been following it.
It is. And what's nice is you can search if you have a particular question or topic or something that you're kind of stuck on. You can search there, and you can, Erik, you've talked a lot about a lot of different things, so it's helped me a lot.
Oh, awesome. I love that. Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, Jamie, thank you for all your, I don't want to call it work, but communication with Erik.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like work sometimes. Only when he starts to irritate me is it work.
like a brother and sister.
Yes, so much like that. But thank you so much for letting me do the work. It's been wonderful.
You're so blessed to be able to connect like this.
Thank you. Yes. It doesn't always feel that way, but yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. Take care, Jean. Sorry, not Jeannie. Take care, Jean. Take care, Maggie. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Erik says he'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Erik says bye.
Bye.
That was amazing,
Maggie,
Jean.
I am blown away.
I know the energy is so, Jamie and Erik's energy was so beautiful, the two of them together.
Oh, wow. I hardly know what to say. I mean, I'm really blown away. Almost speechless here.
Exactly.
Oh. So, next week we have Susan Reinhardt, and she's written a book called Chimes from a Cracked Southern Belle. So we can enjoy that. And Where can we find you, Maggie?
Oh, you can find me at for readings, MaggieMoonTarot.com. And I'd like to help people connect to their angels and spirit guides and their own creative spirit, and for people to shine and know that they're loved beyond measure. And then I do energy work, and I can be found at HarmonyLightReiki.com. And I work with people and animals, long distance and in person, and kind of just to bring their energy back into alignment and clearing any blocks and opening the flow for love, healing, and light and manifesting. What about you, Jane?
Well, I want to plug the TuneMagazine.com Psychics, and you belong to that too. I put it in the chat room, and people can go there and get readings. And let me talk for a minute while I put the others in the chat room, yours and mine. I'm getting the links here. Here we go. There's yours, MaggieMoonTarot.com. And mine is AngelsLoveYou.com. And I do astrology and tarot cards and my own psychic ability, and I work with EFT too. Oh, I wanted to put Jamie's link in too. Let's see, withloveandlight.com. Withloveandlight.com. If people listening in archive. And she has a Facebook page, Jamie Butler, Psychic Medium. I think Eric's still playing with his toys. What do you think?
I think so, too.
You can still hear it. Well, this has been a great show, Maggie.
Yes, it has. I'm looking forward to our show next week. And I hope everyone listening live in the archives and in the chat room has a wonderful week and weekend.
And thank you for coming and listening to the show and participating in the chat room. And I'm going to get to see you Sunday. We're going to hang out.
Yes, we'll get to meet in person. That'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Have a great day.
See you next week.